we'll find out what we can do. And I guarantee you, the group that my partner has been in the billing world for 37 years and some good sized clients, very successful in multiple arenas nationwide. So believe me, he knows credentialing like the back of his hand. We'll fix it.
Thank you.
So, hi, Michael. I'm sorry, it's Pam Wagner here. I just have.
Oh, hi, Pam.
Hi, nice meeting you. I just thought I want to jump into just quickly. As far as billing's concerned, that's everybody's concerns as far as purchasing the device, and a lot of, majority of these providers, that's their biggest hurdles is the billing. It's a big challenge for them. I do have the same issues with the device that I am actually focusing on right now. I just want to share something simple and basic though. I hear Harmy's biggest concern. The problem is, if I can share this, it's the symptoms versus diagnosis. And this is a challenge when it comes to billing a device. Especially this one is diagnostic, right? So it's a little bit more.
Are we talking about our equipment or another piece?
Yes, I'm talking about your equipment. I did have a podiatrist, and I mentioned this to Stan yesterday actually, when Stan was mentioning this to me. He has the same problem. He had a device for 2 years now, and he hasn't even used it. Now, I'm not quite sure if it's exactly the same brand, but it's a pretty similar device. I actually jumped into a training for it for a couple of weeks. And he is still not using until now. It's because the biggest challenge that he has is the billing. He is a podiatrist, not a question, not a pharmacist. Say that again.
You're absolutely correct. And that is the biggest challenge for doctors throughout. I've been in it since 2009.
Yeah.
And in that period of time, I'd say 85 to 90% of the problem in this business, yet people keep using this equipment anyway to get around it and take advantage of whatever they can, because it's so lucrative in its billing, and it does provide so much information, right? That they try to adjust for it. There's only one way to do this, and we developed a software package here. About 4.5 years ago, we started developing it, and it was a program designed to specifically address processing of test results and coding, right? And the way it worked, and it's now a full-blown operation with us, and it's one of the things that turned Tom on to us right away, and we were talking with Stan about it as well. It literally goes in and it takes these detailed and highly complex reports and the symptom checklist, which identifies your signs and symptoms, which Medicare says you must have signs or symptoms that would indicate the use of a particular piece of equipment or a test to get a result, right? In advance. Well, this determines those as well in advance. And it provides that data to the doctor in about 3 to 4 minutes, finished and complete with all CPT codes, ICD-10s, etc. Now, that's something that has not existed in this industry since its very beginning. And it's always been a case where you have a manufacturer of equipment that doesn't handle billing. They manufacture equipment.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, we do both in that regard, and then we are able to do a number of things. The things you just mentioned, like upgrading, changing a system to make it more compliant based on the changes in the industry, which we can do all the way up to current. And then this piece package. But the piece is the real key. I mean, the only way for you to understand it is to do a quick, brief showing of it. And once you see what it does, every doctor gets it immediately. You know, they get the codes, they get the breakdown. We're able to train the biller on modifiers and proper coding, and we work on jurisdictional issues and so many other things that are all a part of this one little package. And all the doctor's staff does is enter the clinical report into a little database, up to 50 at a time. And in 3 to 4 minutes, it starts spitting them out, finished, ready to go to talk to the biller about them.
Right.
And that has made a massive difference.
Are you looking to turbocharge your practice?
So Pam, what I'll do, I'm going to just text through on this on the chat, just a real quick link to a video that's on our website that kind of gives us a summary of what the piece does integrated with the TM flow.
Right.
And that way you can just get an idea, but then I can send you in the next day or so some bite-sized like actual technical videos on how the platform actually works for each step of the way.
Yeah.
So you'll see, because basically the reason why I started working with Michael is because they solved pretty much, they worked to solve a lot of the pain points that doctors have. Like, I think that's why this call's so good, is because you're hearing from Harminder firsthand. I went and installed the device in her office over 2 years, or about 2 years ago. And she hasn't been able to get what she needs out of it. Right.
Right.
And so that's why I wanted you guys to hear this, because the issues that are surrounding this device are what's held it up from fully penetrating the market. Every doctor should have one of these, but because the manufacturer has focused more on developing the technology of the device and has shied away from assisting in the actual integration of practices, that's the barrier. And so what Michael's company has done through the years is develop tools that make it frictionless. And so I think once you see that, how easy it is, how basically the symptoms, the medical necessity is automatically designated, and it's all codified against the local coverage determinant. So there's no question if they have this symptom, they've already drawn all those parallels. And then that's integrated in the software. And then when you upload the report, it automatically picks out the areas of concern. And then those are put on the super bill. And then it has next steps that shows you what else the patient is qualified for or could potentially be beneficial to the patient. So the doctor can look. He doesn't have to use his brain all the time to think, oh my gosh, what do I need to think of for this patient? It's all right there. It just makes it a lot easier to digest, because it's a lot of information. It's powerful information, but a lot of doctors, they just struggle with it because it's too much.
Yeah.
Well, it's an educational process more than anything, Pam. The biggest problem is time. To go in.
That's everybody's problem. Every doctor's problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And currently, this is a 12-page report, and it is laden with details. There are countless numbers of what we call clinically validated markers, validated by up to a total of 13 separate 510K registrations, which is massive. And they all have indications when in combination with each other can identify diabetes and the level of diabetes and neuropathy and circulatory, whether it's primary, secondary, tertiary. I get into major detail, but it does this. I don't know. It's kind of funny. Sometimes people get this, sometimes they don't. Does anybody ever see the movie Hidden Figures?
I think you're on a different generation than us, Michael.
I've heard of it, but I have not seen it.
Oh wait, no, that's the one about the women in the
in NASA, the black women in NASA movie that came through, and oh my God.
Movie.
Well, it's Hidden Figures. It's understanding what's there you can't see.
Yeah.
To do that, one, you got to be the manufacturer that developed everything. The countless papers that went into getting these registrations for all these clinically validated codes is what the manufacturer specialized in. Now, for him to turn around and try to go out and put himself into the coding world, people that produce hardware generally won't do that, because it creates conflicts that can cause problems from them with coding again, because they're not specialists at it.
Exactly.
So there's always been that big gap, right? And in all defense to the manufacturer, they've done a spectacular job. I know I've sold more than anyone else in the country has ever sold. And in those units, I'm just telling you, they are virtually indestructible. They're a spectacular product. And but that lacking point is, even if they went to the time to try to educate the doctors, and if you were to look at the newest version, I don't want to get too verbose here, but you look at the latest version of the software that came out, they just came out with the first version, version 6.1, which is now 4 blood pressure cuffs, Bluetooth, and all that. And that now actually has page 7 that identifies these clinically validated markers, right? Which has never been out on the market ever. Even at that, trying to find the combination of PTG-TP and PTG-VLFI and all these things that I know off the back of my hand, because I spent my whole career selling this hardware by understanding the coding that the manufacturer doesn't do, right? And that's how Tom and I came together, actually. I've been able to combine those and create those logarithms and algorithms that created this product we call PEACE, which is our processing and coding system, right? Now, we don't go in and do the job for the doctor, because you can't do that, but you can certainly provide them with the indicated codes based on the markers, clinically validated markers, and let the doctor make the determination of what they're going to do from there. And that's what this software does. So picture this time frame. A test is run, gets loaded into PEACE. 4 minutes later, the doctor literally logs into his site, pushes up the report, and they can sit right there and tell the client basically virtually every single thing that's going on with them in an ICD-10 format that shows them what they need to do and the direction they need to go, start providing treatment. And they can literally sit down in a few minutes and continue the process, put their chart notes and other things in, and then bill it. I mean, when was the last time anybody ever saw anything like that in this industry? And that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a
So
question.
it's a little, sorry, Harmy, it's a little complicated when it comes to billing. I get that part. But my question, I have a very intense experience on billing, payers, Medicare. I do practice analysis. So I do practice implementation from EMR to billing to clearinghouse. So I understand the system. I understand the platform, because those 3 systems do not talk to each other, let alone the people who are working with them.
That's for sure.
Bottom line is, yeah, so you have to have somebody that understands not just the algorithms and the system, because there are system errors as well as human errors. And there's no communications between these 3 systems and platforms. So there's that damn if you do and damn if you don't. You either get billed or you don't get billed, right? So
yeah, there's an integration process that's required between someone that handles the billing or the coding side. And then there's another with jurisdictional sides. And then there's the CPT code, ICD-10 coding side, in which products
and
are actually a diagnosis. Yeah, they have to combine.
And then you have the A&M that you have to worry about, because you have to link that to the right ICD-10s. And my question is that with this device, though, as far as billing's concerned, what are the certification and credential requirements for an individual to be able to use and perform this device? Does it have to be a licensed entity? Does it have to be an MD?
No.
Does it have to be who?
Anybody who takes blood pressure.
Let me go through it with you.
Yeah.
A person, no education whatsoever, there's no requirement made for a person to run the test itself. It's just a simple, it's just so basic, and there's nothing complicated to it. There's no specifics. You just run the test. When that test is completed,
an MA can use it, right?
Absolutely.
So an MA.
Well, less than that.
Okay.
We recommend in so many cases that some of your
Yeah.
Sometimes the technician that's not an MA or not some other type of more medically based professional will do a better job, because they are quicker at those types of things, because they're more used to doing data input and stuff like that. So a lot of our clinics throughout the country use just a person they actually look for data entry and computer knowledge, not just the software, computer knowledge. And if you got that, you can run it anytime you want. Teach somebody to run this machine before PEACE. You could teach somebody to run this machine within half an hour to an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harmy, did you have a question?
So you'll never have that problem. However, there are requirements, and because there's some different people on this phone, I want to be really, really clear on this one. And that is, if you're a diagnostic testing facility, however, which means you're doing a lot of testing with, like, CT arms and all kinds of stuff, but you're also doing a test like this. When you're a diagnostic testing facility, then the criteria come in that say you have to have a neurologist to be able to do this test. Okay, so you'll get confused if you don't understand all the complexities of it, and that is
Right.
yeah. But in a clinic, when the machine is sold to the clinic, it's absolutely no requirements whatsoever.
Harmony, did you have a question?
Yeah, so Michael, I mean, we are a pharmacy. We don't have a doctor on site. We have 2 pharmacists and we have technicians. So where do we stand? Like, how?
You're going to build a door. You're going to put a door in your office, and that door specifically is a door between a chiropractor's office, a podiatrist's office, whatever other particular group, a pharmacy.
She has a
that
radiologist.
Can't do this work. A radiologist, whoever it may be, they all are making money by integrating their practices so they can do this kind of equipment. And what they do is they have a door policy where they have a clinic, in essence, right there, and have an individual that comes in a certain number of times during the week. And they are literally separating the business between chiropractic or pharmacy or anything and the actual clinic itself. And then they transfer people across from location to location. And when you do that, you have the opportunity of building that practice. And especially in the chiropractic world, they're well on their way to a lot of integration. Many of the other areas like pharmacy still haven't really seen the light of that yet, but that was very smart of you to even come up with that. That's a great concept. And as a pharmacy, you can do that because you're literally running a pharmacy, right? And when they go through that door, you've recommended them to this nurse practitioner who might have a cooperative agreement with a doctor, which now you've got both things you need. And this doctor is credentialed. And in very simple terms, you just created a medical practice within your own, but yet they're separated, right? It's called an integrated practice. And if you do that, your pharmacy will thrive from that type of thing. But it has to be done right, and it does take time. Today isn't like it was before COVID. Now you can't just waltz in and get Medicare and all these other carriers to pop in. It's just not going to happen. It takes weeks and even months to get it set up because of the backlogs created and the changes that took place. But it can easily be done if you got somebody who knows what they're doing, and we do this every day.
So Michael,
our clients all over the country.
Yeah, so Michael, I have a question. As far as Harmony, I do have pharmacists as well. So I'm thinking, okay, how does a pharmacy independently build with this diagnostic device if a pharmacist will actually conduct this diagnostic testing device within their entity? How do they do that?
Well, whether they do or don't doesn't matter as far as whether they conduct the test. The question is, can they bill? And the answer is no,
Yes.
They cannot build this particular product. So instead, you create that integrated practice where you bring someone else in and they handle that side of the business. And if they need pharmacy work, they're going to bring them over to you. If they need,
Gotcha. Okay.
If they need the medical workers, they're going to go over to them, and you never combine the two. It's very separated, but you can actually own them. And that's why so many of the rules out there are, some states require 50% of a practice to be owned by the doctor, and then other states don't, that kind of stuff. We just simply make it easier. And without getting more detail and putting more time into this, right at this point, contact us. We'll sit down and we'll show you the ways in which to do it. And you can make cost justified decisions on whether you want to or not. The equipment from our side is highly lucrative. It's going to pay on average about $325 in Medicare nationwide, and that can vary a little bit by by jurisdiction, and about $400 to as high as $750, but traditionally $400 to $500 on commercial. TRICARE has a tendency to hit as high as $750 in certain parts of the country as military insurance, but those are your numbers. So it's a very good reason to do it. If you can run 5 or 6 of these patients a day into that practice and they run this test, one, they're going to get massive information. 2, you don't have to treat it. You can actually refer it out to specialists that do all the work on things like neuropathies or cardiovascular issues, or do nerve conduction studies and different things. and this is all stuff we teach you, but the bottom line is you can do it, and you just have to make the financial commitment and the time to do it. And surprisingly enough, the financial commitment is very low. It's not much to it at all. It's just time.
Yeah.
Michael, I have a question from a business point of view. If we cannot bill, then how, so basically we just give the patients to a nurse practitioner or doctor and just the instrument. So what is the use of the instrument in the pharmacy business wise?
Well, we have pharmacies around the country that buy this equipment and use it on virtually every person they work with, because it gives them so much data and information, and they know that they're not collecting insurance on it. They're just using it because it really works, right? And it does. Provides tremendous information and allows you to do the things you want to do from that side. Same thing with chiropractors and pain management groups and many others that don't necessarily bill for it. They just do cash. Now, if you want to get into the billable reimbursement area, then you have to start working with taxonomy requirements and things that we just discussed. That I won't go into much detail beyond that because it's just rehashing. But that changes the ballgame when it's insurance based. But we have, oh my goodness, I have several hundred clients I know of that 50% of their business is cash pay. Client comes in, they do an analysis of the machine, and they charge them $100, or they charge them $200, depending on the practice. Some even get as high as $300 because they're doing comprehensive work and using this as the front end. So as soon as that test is run, it provides so much data. It leads into the cardiometabolic side, the areas of neuropathies and nerve damage and so many different things that they can then spread out in their holistic medicine directions, utilizing all that knowledge they got from the machine. And that's what they do.
And
they do it very successfully.
To give you an illustration of that, and I think when we go do our follow-up call, if you see, again, to go back to the Peace platform, that's part of the kind of the solution that Michael's group has found, is that, you've seen the TM Flow report that comes out, and that can be quite daunting, especially if, like, let's say you're not going to bill for it, you charge the patient $100 or $200, and now you have this report, this 12-page report, and it's just got all this, like, meters and scientific data and all this stuff, and you're just like, what the hell are we supposed to do with this? The Peace platform turns that into actionable items and actionable steps that you can literally, you can click on the WebMD link to find out more about, right, in normal layman's terms. So there's a way for you to interpret the reports on a cash pay to where you're not just generating more problems or more concerns for the patient. But it sounds like in terms of your business model, it sounds like your model in terms of billing is going to work. It's just getting the details ironed out.
Also, as far as what you said there, the systems today, I'm not sure whether this is a 3-cuff, 4-cuff system.
It's 4-cuff.
I don't know. Oh, it's 4-cuff. Okay. Then you're also looking at trending, and you're looking at wellness, and you can print out a wellness report that's different than the clinical report, which identifies all the codes and is highly complex. It's less complex and more catered to the patient, but then you can also trend it. And so 2 or more visits, you'll be able to actually see the trending for the patient, and the patient will be able to then see their successes or their failures in each area. It's really very positive if you do it that way. And that's what I'm saying. So many practices are not integrated by the equipment for just that reason.
And on top of that, Michael, just so you know, Harmonder actually has the NPC as well. Maybe you can speak on how that.
Oh, okay.
How can she utilize that better?
I'd have to sit down. I don't really work a lot with it, Tom.
Okay.
In that area, I just don't. But I can certainly get together with her, and I think it's the best thing to do is just to consult with her. It doesn't cost anything to do it. Help her out, and then we can go into that area as well, and get everybody involved that needs to be involved.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Thank you. That's comforting. Thank you. Because we want to really move forward
Yeah,
with
well,
We, Harminder,
hundreds and
we'll make
hundreds
sure
and
that you're,
hundreds of people, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll make sure that you're sorted. I told you, I gave you my word. So
absolutely.
we just need to get on a good time on the phone, and Michael's going to be able to help. I promise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, if I'm able to help and get you into this wonderful world the way you want to be, it benefits me just as much as it does you. And the more people that get into this, my opinion professionally, after the time I've been with this type of equipment, this one test, in my professional opinion, and some people will tell you otherwise, is the go-to test. It should be the very first test run on any patient that walks through a door of an average family practice, primary care, or other type of doctor such as those, because it gives you the knowledge necessary to look at other labs, massive different choices of labs that you will get from the patient. You know, I'm talking about blood tests and such based on the results. It also gives you, and that's through PEACE, by the way, and it also will give you the breakdown of additional diagnostic testing, and it also analyzes the entire report in and out of the ICD-10 world to determine additional health risks in other areas. So when that doctor finishes that 3 minutes after the test is run, they sit down and look at the patient's file. All of a sudden, they can direct that patient in multiple directions to get the things the doctor needs to get more information on that he normally would not be able to do and has to decipher it. We kind of affectionately refer to a doctor as a detective, a really good detective whose people's lives are on the line based on his ability to detect. And that's a heck of a responsibility if you think about it. And giving this information to them in advance, I get so many compliments so often from doctors all over the country that say, you know, before this test, it took me too long to find out. Today, I can find out right now, and I do a better job for my patients. Hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
I totally agreed with you on that one, Michael, because it actually, if a doctor has, you know, a better, should I say, a little bit more time consuming, and they think about this, it gives them the baseline data before they can actually, you know, spend another hour talking to that patients, right?
You're absolutely correct. Yeah. And but what stopped them before?
Yeah, it established that medical necessity that gives them the baseline versus, you know, they have to do all the blood tests and referring to cardiologists, to the GI doctors, the oncologists, and God knows who else. So it
now the
it
biggest
saves them a
problem
lot
with
of
what you're
time.
saying, however, biggest problem, and why we're getting more and more of these compliments, Tom's seeing it as well, from doctors. Wow, this is a go-to test. It should be the first one. Is because of PEACE, and PEACE just simply speeded the process up. It took the already dynamic data and it put it in a usable format for the doctor in a matter of 3 to 4 minutes. Whereas a doctor, and I test them. I'll give them 3 or 4 reports and say, read these, give me a diagnosis, write them all down, and then let's compare them to put it into PEACE. And then while they're on the phone, I would take it after they did all that work. I'd take it and put it into PEACE, and 3 minutes later, the reports come back. In 9 out of 10 cases, they've missed 25% of the diagnoses or other things because you can't find them.
Michael, would you guys mind? Let me, I can illustrate exactly what he's talking about right now. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Sure. Let me show you, Paula, this is what a TM Flow report looks like, right? You've seen this before. I know you have, right? So this is what the doctor gets, right? And depending on how busy they are, that's what he has and what he has to go off of. Now, if this is what he gets, if he gets it through PEACE, hold on one second. I just share this. Oh yeah, do you guys see it? Okay. Hold on. Yeah. So this is what he gets now. And it has all of the, hold on, I'm trying to scroll through. I want to be able to
tell you the easiest way if you can do it is just get to
so you can see
total test.
it has all the medical necessity all of the symptoms checked off right here. So that's, those are your medical necessity established. Then it says, this is what the reports generated. Now, these are the potential diagnosis to reviews. These are the results, right? These are not the results of all 12 pages. These are the results that are important to look at. Then he can click on WebMD or Medline to read more on it. So it's not just like he has to go off of what this report says. He goes and reads about it. Then this is the additional diagnostic tests that this patient now qualifies for. So now this patient has not only, it's right in front of him. What do I do next? Now the patient is also now, for lack of a better term, more of a profit center for the doctor, because now he can order more tests on the patient. I know that's a bad way to put it, but that's a possibility.
Well, no, it benefits the patient when they do.
Absolutely.
So believe me, it's a two-sided win there. That's a win-win. Doctor can do it better, and the patient gets better results. Absolutely.
Now here's your super bill, right? Tells the CPT codes, tells all the ICD-10 codes. He can go through, his biller will, like on this one, Michael always points out, this is a non-Medicare code. So the biller will catch it. They'll uncheck it. So now they're not going to get a rejected claim. They know now it's right in front of them. And then you have your super bill for obesity, if it's an obesity code. And it's all based on this report, and it's all right in front of you. And that's how the simplicity of this software does. So that's
so let me expand just real quickly on what he just did, because he couldn't say it fast enough as to when it'll be in your hands to begin with, because the test goes into piece. The doctor can log in literally in 3 minutes. They don't even have to print out this report, which is massive, and they do upload that into the system. And for the first time in the history of this industry, all portions of this industry, it is the most complete report that ever goes into an EMR. But the doctor can literally log right in on an iPad, a cell phone, a tablet, doesn't matter where, walk into an office and sit with their patient and say, these are the things that are going on. And he doesn't have to spend 5 minutes analyzing where it came from, because it's all done for him. And we've already proven that it works through our registrations, which there's 13 510K registrations. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, it's amazing correlation. And the best way to see it is in action. Load a report, sit and watch the grass grow for 3 minutes, and then let the doctor see the report, and it'll blow you away. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And then you can do what Tom just did and turn around and put that into a insurance carrier says established medical necessity. Tell me we don't do that by just pushing one button and sending that report that Tom just showed you to them. Boom, everything's covered.
Yeah,
this never been out there before.
Michael, I see this can be so beneficial for private practice, medical practitioners, doctors, family care physicians. That's all very good, and beneficial, and they can definitely do this, and they should, prior to even seeing their new patients. My question to you is that, as far as pediatrists, I do have a lot of pediatrist group that I work with. Now, pediatrists, unfortunately, some of them are MDs, most of them are not. They have to stay within their scope of practice, which is they cannot do anything beyond the knee. So,
but they can cooperate, and they can create that door.
Correct. So the thing is, and I was trying to explain this to my pediatrist, which he had this device that is similar to this, but what he's doing is he's independent, and he goes home care. He does his own thing. He goes to people's houses, right? So
we have a lot of people who do that in pediatry.
So how would he build that himself as a pediatrist?
Okay, in order to have that done, there has to be very specific requirements met. You're going to have someone that has the qualifications to walk into that facility with that person and run the test. Not to just run the test, because they could run it from an office, but to go into the house and be allowed to run that test. Then you have to have a cooperating practitioner, whether it be a nurse practitioner or a combination of a nurse practitioner and doctor, that are cooperating with the practice, and have created a separate division of the company that literally handles the clinical side. in which case then you could bill through that side, and
So
then
in
they could
other
do the
words,
podiatry work from the other side.
yeah, yeah. So in other words,
Mhm.
varies in different states. In Texas, you have to have a medical director. That, well, yeah, you have to have a
Absolutely.
practicing license, medical license in order for you to practice.
Yeah,
Nurse
it's a high risk
practitioners,
state. It is.
yeah, nurse
No
practitioners
question.
here cannot practice on their own. They cannot, I mean, they can, but they cannot bill on their own without a medical director. So in other words, you're telling me as a pediatrist, they have to have a medical director as well as the nurse practitioner to be able to
Yeah,
get
and they
the
have to
proper
read
reimbursement.
reports. I've got several of them, and one in particular does probably 15, 20 tests a day with our equipment, and they're
Okay.
out of mid Texas, just well, they're over near Dallas actually. And the
Right.
bottom line is, they created this open door, and it's blossomed for them in the areas of podiatry. They've actually opened a second portion of the chiropractic side. They've actually expanded into 3 different types of integrated practices,
Yeah.
which is, by the way, a trend now, because people don't want to go hospital if they can help it, although they're being pushed. But trending into multiple divisions in the areas of creating these cooperating agreements and this open door
Yeah.
policy, people are really beating the hospitals because we're losing so many doctors to the hospitals nowadays. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They can't afford to practice anymore.
Yeah.
This
True.
equipment think about it. I mean, not $290, $250 to $290 is what your average doctor, no matter who they are out there, on a general visit, either a 992-1-201-234, right, or a 99213-45, right? They're going to generate up to maybe $290. That's it.
Yeah.
When you add this test, you just added another 400, another 325, and you still get the other 2 codes as well. What an increase to a practice's revenue stream while doing a better job for the patient and
Yeah.
giving them more information.
No,
And that's
pediatrists
what
do
it is. So,
love this. They like this device. Their biggest challenge, again, as everybody else's, is the billing. So, it's a matter of,
yeah, they can't
they'll
bill it,
just
and they
have,
can't even have an organizational MPI that bills it. They've got to have a separate billing side that's
Right.
integrated with their practice.
I thought they could build just the ABI and the pseudomotor, but they couldn't build the ANS.
Not in Texas. Texas is very limited.
Okay.
Well, in
Oh,
Texas they can, but
Michael?
a couple of the other states they can't. It
So what
depends
are
on
the-
the state.
Sure, sorry.
California, you can too, by the way.
So, how do what are with your all everybody's here with so much wisdom? We are opening a diagnostic lab next door, our pharmacy, which will be like Care for You Diagnostic, which is 100% owned by me myself as well, like pharmacy. And the whole purpose I'm opening this diagnostic lab is to use this TM flow meter, and we'll be conducting other tests also. How do we involve the doctors' interest? Why would they send the patients our way? Yeah, unless and until.
Well, they won't. If they're a practice, there's so many doctors out there that are looking to team up and create more variety in their ability to earn income. They're not making enough money as a doctor, in other words. Those are the ones you're going to look for. They're great doctors. They're just, their practices aren't thriving the way they'd like, and with the limitations, it's tough to survive, right? They're getting absorbed into hospitals. So they'll get with an integrated, like a chiropractor or with another group, and they make contracts, they put them together, and they team up and share the revenues, and everybody survives better. That's basically what's happening. That's why integrated practices are happening.
Yes, I will be talking more in detail with you when I talk to you in person. But my question is that if a person who's not a doctor, like Pam was saying, for her different clients she has, and can they form a business organization? Suppose Pam opens up a testing lab and she becomes the CEO of that organization, and then can she hire these doctors to conduct the test, and the billing happens on the facility name? And then
no, it's not that simple. It's a much different way of doing it. And the only way to explain this is my group, my partner in the business, along with my other partners, is been in the industry of billing for 35 years, and they consult to people all over the 37 years, and they consult to people all over the United States on how to do this kind of stuff. And they don't do it to make money off of that because there's just no money in it. What they do instead is to make money off of getting the people into the business, getting them into equipment sales and other things, because they're partnered up with us, kind of an integrated practice if you think about it. So they'll help you, and they'll answer all of these questions for you very quickly. They'll tell you what you can and can't do, and probably a 1 hour conversation, you'll know pretty much what you need to know as to whether or not you can pursue what you want and what direction you want to go. That's what I recommend you do at this point. I've explained it as much as I can, but from here on out, it becomes complex. Pharmacy is different than a podiatrist. A podiatrist is probably different than a chiropractor, might be different than a nutritionist. You see what I'm saying? Each thing's different, and they have different rules. Like I told you, here's the best example. Doctors can put this machine in their practice and run test after test after test and don't have to be a specialist, right? At that test. They don't have to do neurology or anything. They can just run the test. However, if they start a diagnostic testing facility, now they have to have a qualified neurologist in order for them to be able to do the test. So it's just rules that are put in there that I think none of us really understand the reasoning behind. But they do. They require specialty when you're dealing with practices you're not actually involved with in business. You're just doing services for.
Well, you've cleared
Does that make any sense?
Yes, yes. Thank you. This has really cleared a lot of doubts. Thank you. So definitely I'll be needing that 1 hour consultation to move forward.
I sent you a text.
Well, we do this every week, or we're here every week. So tell people you know that you know more about this business than you did, and if they're having problems, other people are having problems, bring them in. Yeah. The goal here, in my opinion, is helping the patients. That's it. The patients get better. They get more time with the doctor. They get more time with the practice because the practice is making more money. But more importantly, the time they do have with them is much more valuable because they're getting more information than they've ever had before using this equipment, ever. And it's a win-win. And that's what, have you ever walked out of a doctor's office wondering what you're going to do next? Yeah. And so often you don't when people are using our systems. It really helps.
Great. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and Harminder, I'll edit out the beginning part of this, but I'll post the rest of this up. And thank you guys. And you can always just reach out to myself or Michael if you have any other questions or you want to talk more. But I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom now. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
It was a pleasure, everybody. Thanks for giving me all the time. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom and Mike. Harmy, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Nice meeting
Thank
you, Paula.
you. Thank you, everybody.